Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today we've got a double. This is Stolas and Blitzø from Helluva Boss. After the builds, be sure to check out my channel to vote for the next one. We'll start off with the Owl. So what do we want for Stolas? Well, he's a demon prince, so we'll need some powers befitting our station, most notably not being able to die except to blessed weapons, and a petrifying gaze. We'll also need our Grimoire, the powerful artifact that we loaned to Blitz so he could do his job. It's a book that holds our various spells and rituals, and that we study to discern prophecies in the night sky. That plays into traditional occult depictions of Stolas as well. He doesn't show off a lot of his powers in the show, but traditionally he knows about astronomy and plants, and he commands legions of spirits, so we'll aim to get some spells along those lines. Looking over at ability scores, I'll be using the standard point array. If you want to roll for stats, that's fine, just make sure your intelligence and charisma are high enough to multiclass. Starting off with a 10 in strength. We've got long, lanky limbs, but we can still pick up an imp. Dexterity's 14, we're elegant when we're not flustered. Then we'll put our 12 in Constitution. Bird bones are hollow, and Stolas really doesn't take that much punishment outside the bedroom, but he can handle pain. Intelligence will be 15, we're a little bit of a bookworm, but we can be ignorant of others' feelings and our effect on them, so we'll dump Wisdom. Then we'll finish off with a 13 in Charisma. We're naturally powerful and good at getting what we want, but how much of that is charisma and how much is us being a prince is up for debate. It would make sense to make Stolas a tiefling or even an Aasimar since he's a demon prince, but there's a race for owl people, so owlin' it is. We get +2 to intelligence and +1 to charisma, making them 17 and 14 respectively. We've got double the usual dark vision range at 120 feet, a flying speed equal to our walking speed when we aren't wearing medium or heavy armor, and we're naturally proficient in stealth. As a demon prince, Noble works great for our background. History and persuasion are our skills. We'll trade the gaming set proficiency for the herbalism kit, since Stolas is an avid gardener. And we have a position of privilege. Commoners will accommodate us to avoid our displeasure, we fit in among high society, and we can even land personal meetings with important figures like Asmodeus himself. Since Stolas does have inborn abilities, we're going to start off with a few levels of Sorcerer, specifically the Shadow Sorcerer. We get proficiency in Arcana and Religion, and Strength of the Grave will give us our partial immortality. Once per day, if we're dropped to 0 HP, we can make a Charisma save to drop to 1 instead. However, we can't do so if we go to 0 because of a critical hit or because of radiant damage, like what an angelic weapon would deal. For spells, Mage Hand is our basic telekinesis, Minor Illusion can make visual displays to make a point or entertain our daughter, and Prestidigitation is a bunch of minor quality of life improvements. I know I wouldn't want to try to dry off feathers after a bath. We'll also grab Comprehend Languages, so we can decipher our grimoire and any other books that we want to read. At second level, we'll grab Disguise Self to get a human disguise, and we get a Font of Magic, a pool of sorcery points equal to our sorcerer level that refreshes on a long rest. We won't get many of these in total, but we can trade them for spell slots and vice versa if we really need to, or we can use them to fuel our meta magics. We can spend 1 point for Subtle Spell to ignore a spell's verbal and somatic components, and with Careful Spell, we burn a point and choose a number of creatures up to our Charisma modifier to automatically pass their save against our spell. Good for if we need to drop an AoE, but Blitz or Octavia are in the area. You know, keep our loved ones safe. Now, some of you may have noticed that I neglected to mention one of the Shadow Sorcerer's first level benefits. That's because Eyes of the Dark gives us 120 feet of dark vision, which we already have from being an owl. At third level though, it upgrades. We learn the Darkness spell, we can cast it by spending 2 sorcery points rather than by spending a spell slot, and if we do, we can see through it, even though normally dark vision can't see through magical darkness. That doesn't count against how many spells we can learn, so we'll pick up Misty Step to briefly shift into our shadowy bird form to slip out of danger, and Levitate to float through space. But natural abilities aside, Stolas is a textbook wizard, since he has a spell book that holds all his spells and explicitly has limited power without it. As a wizard, we get Arcane Recovery, letting us regain expended spell slots on a short rest once per day. We can get back slots with total level up to half of our wizard level rounded up, but none of them can be over 5th level individually. For cantrips, we'll pick up Blade Ward, Light, and Dancing Lights, then we get 6 first level spells. First up, Detect Magic and Identify will help feed our thirst for information. Catapult uses our telekinesis offensively by launching a small object at someone, and we can shift into our shadow form to cause fear in a creature, frightening them for up to a minute on a failed wisdom save. Expeditious Retreat lets us dash with our bonus action if we need to get the hell out of dodge, and Unseen Servant summons a servant to take care of our needs. We're rich, we don't need to waste our time dusting. Stolas' sphere of expertise and responsibility is the stars, plants, stones, that sort of thing. So we're going to dip into an old unearthed arcana and make him a theurge, specifically choosing to study the cleric's nature domain. We learn to channel the arcane power of our domain once per rest, choosing between 2 options. All theurges get divine arcana. As a bonus action, we can add 2 to our next spell's attack rolls or saving throw DC, one of the few class features that can boost that. And the nature domain gives us charm animals and plants. using our action to charm any beasts and plant creatures within 30 feet of us for a minute if they fail a wisdom save. Theurges get to add cleric spells to their spellbook, but we have to start with our domain spells. There are a few non-domain cleric spells I want, so we will be taking all of the nature domain spells. The first of which is Animal Friendship. We can charm a beast for a day if they fail a wisdom save. Not in Stolas' wheelhouse, we're only taking it because we have to. Then Magic Missile is a very basic attack spell that shoots 3 darts of force that automatically hit and deal 1d4 plus 1 damage each. We can flavor this as shooting 3 magical gems, or lean more towards astronomy and call them little stars. Our next domain spell is Speak with Animals, which lets us do that for 10 minutes. Then Augury takes a minute to get an omen about a course of action we're planning to take in the near future. We get told Wheel for good, Woe for bad, Wheel and Woe for good and bad, or nothing for neither good nor bad. We know for a fact that Stolas' book helps him decipher prophecies in the stars, so we will be getting a couple of these divination spells. At 4th level, we'll take Skill Expert, bumping our intelligence up to 18 and giving us nature proficiency and expertise. Again, herbs, plants, precious stones, astronomy, that's our area of knowledge. We get another cantrip like Acid Splash, though we might only be able to do it while we have that nasty Los Angeles bottled water to hand. And Barkskin is our next domain spell, making our AC 16 at minimum while it's active. Then with Vortex Warp, we pick a creature other than ourselves within 90 feet and teleport them to another space within 90 feet of us. They can make a con save to resist and we can't teleport ourselves, but a 2nd level teleport that can go up to 180 feet is pretty great. Spike Growth makes a 20-foot radius area miserable to move through. It counts as difficult terrain, and it deals 2d4 damage for every 5 feet a creature moves. Then Melf's Minute Meteors is an evolution of what we were doing with Magic Missile. We call up 6 little meteors that orbit us, and each turn we can shoot 1 or 2 of them to points within 120 feet. When they reach that point, or when they hit something on the way, they explode, dealing 2d6 fire damage to creatures within 5 feet who fail a dexterity save. At 6th level, we can use our Channel Arcana twice per rest, and we get the benefits that a 1st level cleric would get from our domain. In our case, we get proficiency in survival, as our study of the stars can help us navigate, and we learn a druid cantrip. Magic Stone is sort of the most basic version of our meteor spell progression. We enchant 3 stones and can throw one as a ranged attack, dealing 1d6 plus our intelligence modifier on a hit. We'll take invisibility, since Stolas can and has turned invisible before, and our domain spell at this level is really the main reason for going Theurge: Plant Growth. One of our duties is to use the light of the harvest moon to bless the crops of Wrath so they grow well, and one of the uses of plant growth is to enrich the land, doubling the harvest of plants within a half mile for 1 year. Windwall, on the other hand, summons a wall of wind that damages creatures when it appears and blocks any kind of gas or fog along with deflecting projectiles. It's fine, it's just not our thing. We'll also take Summon Undead at this level. Stolas has command over 26 legions of spirits, and though we haven't seen them thus far, they have been mentioned, so we'll get started with this. We can summon an undead to obey our commands and fight for us, choosing between a zombie, a skeleton, and a ghost. The stat block is in Tasha's. We use our next ASI to bump our charisma to 16, then we'll pick up Dominate Beast from our domain and Greater Invisibility. Dominate Beast charms a beast and lets us assume direct control of it, and Greater Invisibility doesn't last as long as regular invisibility, but also doesn't break when we attack or cast a spell. Now, we've never actually seen Stolas dominate a beast, but we have seen him dominate a person, when he used Agent 2 to scare the shit out of both Agent 1 and all of us. Again, we charm a humanoid if they fail a wisdom save, and while we have them charmed, we can take complete control of them so they do exactly what we want them to do. Our domain spell here is Grasping Vine, which summons up one of our beloved hellish fly traps. The vine can lash out at a creature within 30 feet every turn with our bonus action. It doesn't deal any damage, but the creature has to make a dex save or be dragged 20 feet closer to the vine. 10th level Theurges get the 6th level benefit of their domain. In our case, Dampen Elements lets us use our reaction whenever we or another creature within 30 feet of us takes acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage to give the creature resistance to that damage, cutting it in half. If we need to do some research about things of legendary importance, such as, say, Azathoth's Tears, we can use legend lore to learn the stories and legends about them. Insect Plague is our next domain spell, calling up a 20-foot radius sphere of swarming bugs, though I don't see any reason we couldn't reflavor it to one of our spirit legions. The area is heavily obscured and difficult terrain, and a creature who enters the sphere, ends their turn there, or was in it when it appeared, has to make a con save or take 4d10 piercing damage. 11th level brings us our last domain spell, Tree Stride, which lets us step into a tree and step out of another tree of the same type within 500 feet. Then for one of the powers Stolas has actually shown off, Flesh to Stone. A creature we stare at makes a con save or be restrained. Once restrained, they keep making saves each turn until they either succeed 3 times or fail 3 times. If they succeed, the spell ends. If they fail, they're petrified until the spell ends, or they're petrified permanently if we maintain concentration for the entire minute. Our next ASI will cap off our intelligence, then we can start getting into non-domain cleric spells like Ceremony. We're a great prince after all, it is our duty to preside over various ceremonies and functions, like the aforementioned Harvest Moon Festival, for example. There's also Dance Macabre, which animates up to 5 corpses undead for an hour, and we can command them to do things like draw a summoning circle keyed to us to traumatize a couple of government agents. Fun fact, this was actually originally going to be mass suggestion, because for some reason I didn't realize the people he was controlling in that scene were dead, but yeah, no, totally corpses. Divination is similar to Augury. We ask a question concerning an action or event in the next week and receive an answer. Then we'll take Tasha's otherworldly guise, because that giant shadow bird form we have has to be useful for combat in some way, right? We become immune to fire and poison damage, as well as to being poisoned. Our AC goes up by 2, our flying speed goes up to 40 feet, we can attack twice with the attack action, and our attacks count as magical and can use our intelligence rather than our strength or dexterity. 14th level Theurges get to jump ahead of the curve and get their domain's 17th level benefit early. Sometimes this can be really powerful, but in our case we can just command creatures we have charmed with our charm animals and plants. Remember, charming isn't mind control, it just makes them friendly to us, so this lets us actually control them. Planar Ally is a cleric spell that summons the subordinate of some great otherworldly being. They're not under any special compulsion to help us, so normally we have to bargain for their help, but this is actually an interesting case. One of the listed examples of an otherworldly being to ask for help is a demon prince, which, we are. So we should be able to use this to summon someone loyal to us, especially since we'd likely know their name and can request them directly, meaning we probably wouldn't have to bargain with them. We also get the ability to jump between planes with Plane Shift. And that's the whole reason Blitz wanted our book in the first place. It would be weird if we couldn't do it. The last cleric spell we're going to take is Spirit Guardians. We summon one of our legions to defend us. The spirits swirl around us in a 15-foot radius, halving the speed of any enemies in the area and dealing necrotic damage to them if they enter or start their turn there and fail a wisdom save. Then we'll get an upgrade for our minute meteors with Crown of Stars. We summon 7 tiny stars that orbit around us for an hour. As a bonus action, we can shoot one of them at a target within 120 feet, dealing 4d12 radiant damage on a hit. Worth noting, unlike minute meteors, this doesn't require concentration. It just blasts for an hour or until we shoot all the stars. Our last ASI boosts our Charisma to 18, then we can use Teleport to go anywhere we want on the same plane. Though if we aren't familiar with the destination, we can land off target. And Summon Fiend can summon a minion to fight for us. We pick between a Demon, a Devil, and a Yugoloth. Again, the stat block is in Tasha's. Best one for us is probably the Devil, since they have Devil's Sight and can see through the magical darkness that we can create. Our capstone is a 17th level of Wizard for some 9th level spells. First up, Gate opens a portal to another dimension. We've already got Plane Shift, of course, but Stolas can open much bigger portals that people aren't actually going to go through, like we did at the Harvest Moon Festival. Our gate can be up to 20 feet in diameter, and can be open to a specific person or a specific location. Then we'll round off our meteor spells with the biggest of them all, Meteor Swarm, which drops 4 massive fireballs on points we can see within a mile, each one impacting with a 40-foot radius blast that deals 20d6 fire and 20d6 bludgeoning to any creatures or objects in the area who fail a dex save. Now that the build is complete, let's take a look and see what we have done. Well, like I said earlier, Stolas is a textbook wizard. He's got a fair bit of area denial with his plant-based spells and darkness, a few save or suck effects in Dominate Person and Flesh the Stone, and a couple of reliable blasting spells in Crown of Stars and Minute Meteors. Unfortunately, that means he has the wizard downsides as well, with our wizard hit dice resulting in less than 100 HP on average and low AC. We do mitigate that in the classic wizard way with a bunch of summons. Planar Allies, Summon Fiend, Summon Undead, even Dance Macabre are all designed to summon people who can take hits for us so we don't die. Plus, we can save ourselves from death once per day with Strength of the Grave. Won't save us from a power word kill though, so kind of watch out for that. I would say one of our strongest points is our mobility. We've got several teleportation options along with a flying speed and dimensional travel. Ultimately, we're most suited to sitting back and letting others take care of business for us, while enabling them with transport, information, and maybe a bit of political savvy. And of course, our number one favorite helper is our darling Blitzø. So what do we want for him? Well, first and foremost, we need to get the Grimoire from Stolas, a book that will let us access the mortal realm to do our job. That job being killing people. We're an assassin, so we need to be good with guns and have the physical chops to take our targets out without being noticed. And we need to be a little bit self-sabotaging. Blitz actually seems to be fairly likable, but his self-hatred causes him to drive people away. For ability scores, we'll be using the standard point array again. If you want to roll for stats, that's fine. Just make sure your dex, intelligence, and charisma are high enough to multiclass. Start off with a 10 in strength. We can make up for it with athletics, and guns need dexterity more, so we'll make that 14. Constitution is 12. Blitz is just the opposite of Stolas. He doesn't take pain in the bedroom, since Stolas is the sub, but he does take damage out in the field. He will end up having higher HP than Stolas, but that'll be more from not having the shitty wizard hit dice. Intelligence can be 13, he's clever but not a genius, and will dump wisdom again because these two idiots need to actually sit down together, talk, and actually listen to each other. Then we'll finish up with our 15 in charisma. Blitz has dated enough people to fill an entire party, and everyone around him seems to genuinely care about him. It's just his myriad of issues that drive them away and make them hate and resent him. Blitz is an imp, so Tiefling makes the most sense, giving us +2 to our charisma and +1 to our intelligence, making them 17 and 14 respectively. We resist fire damage, as human flames can't really hurt us, and we get 60 feet of dark vision. Then we'll swap out Infernal Legacy for Devil's Tongue, giving us Vicious Mockery for Blitz's sharp tongue, and letting us cast Charm Person and Enthrall once per day each. Enthrall is fine, it lets us keep up a string of patter that distracts creatures who fail a wisdom save, giving them disadvantage to notice anyone else, so Moxie and Millie can sneak into position, but Charm Person is the real Blitz move, as we charm a humanoid for up to an hour on a failed wisdom save. They treat us as a friendly acquaintance, but when the spell ends, they know they were charmed by us and quite possibly become hostile. Since we grew up in the circus, we'll take the Entertainer background, giving us proficiency in acrobatics. Though since Blitz was never any good at crowd work, we'll switch performance out for athletics. We also get proficiency with disguise kits, which comes in handy since we don't have a magical human disguise of our own. We're going to start off as a rogue to get 4 skill proficiencies, namely Stealth, Perception, Intimidation, and Sleight of Hand. Then we'll upgrade our Athletics and Acrobatics proficiencies to Expertises. We also learn to make sneak attacks, dealing an extra 1d6 damage when we hit with a ranged or finesse weapon once per turn, though only if we had advantage on the attack roll or an ally within 5 feet of the attack target. Second level rogues get Cunning Action, letting us dash, disengage, or hide with our bonus action. Then as a thief at 3rd level, we can make a sleight of hand check or use an object or our thieves tools with our bonus action as well, thanks to our fast hands. Our circus training comes into play here as well, as second story work gives us a climbing speed equal to our walking speed, and adds our dexterity modifier in feet to the distance of our running jumps. And if that wasn't enough, our sneak attack damage goes up to 2d6, and we get steady aim. As a bonus action, we can take aim, getting advantage on our next attack that turn, though we can't move in the same turn that we take aim. With our first ASI, we'll pick up the Gunner feat. That'll boost our dexterity to 15 and give us proficiency with firearms. We can also ignore the loading property of firearms, and we don't get disadvantage on ranged attacks for being within 5 feet of an enemy. At 5th level, our sneak attack goes up to 3d6, and we get Uncanny Dodge. When we get hit with an attack from an attacker we can see, we can use our reaction to cut that damage in half. That's pretty much all we wanted from Rogue, so we're going to take a quick detour to Artificer to pick up some fancy toys. First, Magical Tinkering lets us add a minor magical effect to a non-magical object, like making it glow or play a sound, little sensory stuff. I personally don't see any reason we couldn't use it to make something vibrate, but that's really up to your DM. There aren't any Artificer spells I'm especially interested in, Blitz isn't really a spellcaster, but we will pick up Message to get a cell phone, and Mage Hand to act as our prehensile tail. Really though, we're here to get a few infusions. We learn to make 4, but we can only have 2 active at a time, and we can swap between them on a long rest. So we'll go with 2 for our job, and 2 for having fun with Stolas. On the job, we'll bring a Bag of Holding to keep a whole armory in to outfit our team in case there's a big battle. And we can make our favorite pistol into a repeating shot, giving it +1 to its attack and damage rolls, and letting it never run out of ammo. For the sexy times, we'll pick up a Rope of Mending, a rope that we can use to tie Stolas up however we like, and that can repair itself afterward if he breaks it in the heat of passion. Then the Perfume of Bewitching can be a nice scented candle to get us in the mood, giving us advantage on charisma checks made toward humanoids with a challenge rating of 1 or less. Now to actually get our hands on the fancy book, we'll become a Warlock, and since Stolas is a Demon Prince, we'll be a Warlock of the Fiend. We get Dark One's Blessing, which gives us temporary HP whenever we reduce a hostile creature to 0 HP. The temp HP is equal to our charisma modifier plus our warlock level, and as a reminder, does not stack. So if we kill 2 creatures, the temp HP doesn't add together, we just get whichever one is higher. Again, Blitz isn't much of a caster, but we can get a flashlight on our phone with light, and Friends is like a cantrip version of Charm Person. We get advantage on charisma checks made against a creature for up to a minute, then once the spell ends, the creature knows we use magic on it and does become hostile. Plus we can pick up Charm Person as a warlock spell, so we can cast it with spell slots, not just once per day. At 2nd level we get Eldritch Invocations, starting with Armor of Shadows, letting us cast Mage Armor at will, so we can go into combat in our snazzy coat. Then Beguiling Influence gives us proficiency in Deception and Persuasion. Honestly, I'd really like to have Deception expertise on Blitz, so ask your DM, see if they'll let you switch out acrobatics for it. 3rd level gets us the book with Pact of the Tome, though it doesn't let us hop to the mortal world quite yet. It does give us 3 more cantrips though. Thaumaturgy is a bunch of minor magical effects that can help us be as dramatic as the book's owner, and we'll take guidance as well to offer our impeccable advice to our employees. Then Primal Savagery lets us make an acidic bite or claw attack, which, you know, I'm sure Stolas won't object to being on the receiving end of. The only 2nd level spell I want here is Find Vehicle to summon our IMP van, and give us expertise on checks made to drive it. 4th level gets us Sharpshooter, which lets us ignore partial cover and attack out to the long range of our weapons without disadvantage. I would call Blitz's main weapons a pistol and hunting rifle, which have long ranges of 90 and 240 feet respectively. We can also take -5 to our attack rolls with a ranged weapon to get +10 to the damage. Along the same lines, we'll get True Strike to get advantage on a weapon attack on the following turn. Steady aim is usually going to be the better option, since True Strike uses up our action and requires concentration, but I could see a situation where we want to take aim and move at the same time, so it isn't completely useless. Our next invocation is Devil's Sight, so we can see normally in all darkness, even magical darkness out to 120 feet, making a nice little combo with Stolas being able to cast darkness. Then Fiend Warlocks can pull a bazooka out of their bag of holding and cast Fireball, a 20-foot radius blast that deals 8d6 fire damage on a failed dex save, half on a success. 6th level Fiend Warlocks get Dark One's Own Luck. Once per rest, we can add a d10 to an ability check or saving throw that we make for a little main character plot armor. And at 7th level, we'll take Charm Monster. It's like Charm Person, but without the humanoid restriction. Our invocation at this level is Dreadful Word, which lets us use a Warlock spell slot to cast Confusion once per day. Creatures in a 10-foot radius around a point we choose have to make a Wisdom save or be thrown into disarray. They roll a d10 every turn to see if they'll act normally, not act at all, attack a random creature within reach without moving, or move randomly without attacking. We'll use our next ASI to even out our dex and charisma to 16 and 18 respectively, then take Otherworldly Leap at 9th level to triple our jump distance at will. 10th level Fiend Warlocks get Fiendish Resilience. Whenever we finish a rest, we can pick a damage type and gain resistance to it until we pick another one. Lightning and Poison seem pretty in character for Blitz, but you can adjust it to whatever you anticipate fighting. And we'll take Create Bonfire as our last cantrip so we can set a fire whenever we want. 11th level Warlocks start to get Mystic Arcanum, higher level spells that they can cast once per day without a spell slot. For our 6th level spell, Summon Fiend works just like it did for Stolas, enlisting the aid of a devil, demon, or Yugoloth. Use it to call up Moxie, Millie, or even Fizz, though he's not much of a fighter. We use our last ASI to bump our dexterity to 18 and get Gift of the Protector. We can write people's names in Stolas' book, then once per day, if one of them would drop to 0 HP, they drop to 1 instead. The book can hold a number of names equal to our proficiency, and Stolas would probably have himself and Octavia in there, so that leaves room for Moxie, Millie, Luna, and Fizz. You know, everyone we care about. Our capstone is the 13th level of Warlock for our 7th level Mystic Arcanum, and of course the only real choice is Plane Shift. The entire reason we got the book in the first place, so we can go to the human world and kill whoever our clients want us to kill. Now that the build is complete, let's take a look and see what we've done. Well, we're really good with guns. We can snipe people at long range behind cover, we can shoot point blank, we can get advantage practically at will, and we get extra damage from sneak attack. About the only thing we can't do is shoot twice in the same turn. We've also got good social skills, with +10 to Persuasion, Intimidation, and Deception, plus spells to charm our way through, though at the cost of souring people's attitudes toward us. But really, that's just on them. We're too much imp to simp. And despite our relatively low HP, we've got solid AC with mage armor, several resistances, one of which can rotate for different situations, and we get 17 temporary HP whenever we kill someone, so we can plow through a whole squad of dorks and just tank hits along the way. If I had to pick a weakness, I would say that much like the transactional nature between Stolas and Blitz is holding the relationship back, our reliance on Stolas is holding the build back. If we didn't need 13 levels of Warlock to get Plane Shift, we could invest a lot more into Rogue, or even dip into Fighter, and be way more effective in combat. We do get a lot of benefits from being a Warlock, of course, but without really caring about the spells, it loses a lot of its oomph.
Have you ever even apologized once in your life?
Oh, you think I can't apologize? For what? You want me to be like, oh, sorry, this entire time I assumed the worst because I was convinced a prince could never love someone like me, and I've let my self-hatred stop me from apologizing to anyone I could never care about?
Well, yes, that.
Well, fuck you!
Thank you for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed the builds. Head on over to my community tab if you want to vote for the next character for me to do. This week is between Nightcrawler, Princess Bubblegum, the Demo Man, and our runner-up from last time, Sly Cooper. If you have any feedback or suggestions for characters you'd like to see me build, please leave them in the comments below and they could show up in future poll. Leave a like or subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks again for watching. I will see y'all later.